Welcome back, everyone, to Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, where we're talking about combat today. Now, this is the tail end of combat. We went through all the fighting stuff, but what happens after? You've got a bullet hole. What do you do about it? Well, you can bleed out, or you can stick with me and see how to treat that stuff.
The best tabletop RPG groups follow these core values to respect the campaign setting, the game, and the people at the table. Refer to the URL in the video's description to donate to the charity we support, the Wounded Warrior Project. Sunday on Rumble and YouTube, we provide tabletop RPG game, system, and setting overviews. Then on Friday, a panel of guests editorialize on the TTRPG hobby as a whole. Thursdays and Saturdays are when Heathen Dog leads his Dirty Casuals video game squad on twitch.tv/Legion of Myth. Please like and share this video with your friends and on social media, and subscribe to Legion of Myth for more tabletop RPG content.
All right. It's in the combat, but it's not. It's after combat. What do you do after combat? Well, let's find out. Wounds and healing.
Die.
Well, hopefully not die. This is how we're going to not die from this. Okay, here we go. Description of injury should be appropriate to the type and degree of damage received. Thus, the investigator is not merely shot, but shot in one arm or the other. Likewise, a fall might mean the investigator has sprained an ankle, now has a lump on his back of his skull, as well as hit point loss. Keeper should describe the effects of damage and try to avoid simply saying you lost 3 hit points. No, you have to say you lost 3 hit points because hit points are a number that is tracked by the player, but you don't just say that. Let's say you got shot by a gun, by a 9mm revolver. It does 1d10 damage, and you took 2. You got shot in the arm. It's a flesh wound. Or you took 10. You got shot in the chest. It's a sucking chest wound. You're in trouble. So you lost 10 hit points. That sucks. So it's up to the keeper to describe the damage and make it appropriate. You're not going to have a hole in your body if you got hit with a beer bottle. You're going to have a gash. You're going to have a slash. You're going to have a puncture, an impale maybe. I don't know. But it's not going to be a hole. Tracking damage. The number of hit points of damage inflicted by an attack can be used to differentiate between regular damage and major wounds. Well, let's continue. Someone beaten unconscious by punches, each doing a small amount of damage, may awaken to the next day battered and bruised but able to act. However, someone who takes the same total amount of damage in a single attack, such as a gunshot, might be out of action for a week or more before the slow healing process even begins. A punch is likely to result in regular damage, whereas a gunshot is more likely to inflict a major wound. If the damage from a single attack is less than half the character's maximum hit points, it is regular damage. Equal to or more than half the character's maximum hit points is a major wound. More than the character's maximum hit points, you're just dead.
So I can only have one major wound. I don't know. I've seen these cop videos where people are shot a bunch of times.
No. You can have 2 major wounds at once, but you're a real unlucky bastard. You got hit. You have 10 hit points. You took 5. That's a major wound. You're in the hospital. A week later, you heal up 1, maybe you're at 6, and then you take another 5 points in major wound. So now you got 2 major wounds. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but we'll find out. Regular damage is the result of any single attack that deals damage equal to or less than half the character's maximum hit points in a single blow. It has no significant effect on the character until current hit points are reduced to 0. You're not going to get a major wound by getting stabbed with a 1mm knife a whole bunch of times. Even if it's enough to kill you, none of those are going to be considered a major wound. So you're not going to have the problems. Here are what major wounds are. Major wound results when an attack delivers an amount of damage equal to or greater than half the character's maximum hit points. A character that has received a major wound may die if the current hit points are reduced to 0. When a character takes a major wound, tick the major wound box. The character immediately falls down. Yeah, you fell down. Make a successful con roll to avoid the character falling unconscious. If current hit points fall to 0 while the major wound is ticked, the character is dying. Okay, so millimeter knife, shoot him. All right, now he's dying. Let's look at the example. Harvey has 15 hit points. Good job, Harvey. Damages of 8 or more will inflict a major wound. Harvey is attacked by a mad cultist and, over the course of the fight, takes 3 damage, then 8 damage. His current hit points are down to 4. The major wound knocks him to the floor. He is required to make a con roll for the major wound and does so successfully, remaining conscious. The 3 damage just was damage. It doesn't hinder you later on. Well, unless maybe the blade was poisoned or something, but poison is a separate thing. Okay, it's a separate thing. 0 hit points. The effects of 0 hit points. Well, I imagine death is one of them. Let's find out. Cumulative damage ceases to be tracked once current hit points have fallen to 0. Do not record negative hit points. On 0 hit points, the character is unconscious. Further damage is generally ignored, but any sincere attempt to kill an unconscious character should succeed. If you're unconscious or sleeping, coup de grace, slit your throat, dead as a doornail. That's how it works. 0 points can indicate one of 3 conditions. If only regular damage have been taken, the character does not die and will heal in time. Regular damage are those that aren't life-threatening, aren't vital wounds. You know, you've been punched out unconscious. You've been stabbed lightly. You've lightly stabbed. So you didn't occur any major wounds. You're unconscious. You will wake up without medical intervention. If an amount of damage, if the character has taken a major wound, the character will soon die unless first aid is administered. If an uninjured character takes a wound that is equal to their maximum hit points, this would obviously be a major wound and they're dying. If an amount of damage greater than the character's maximum points is taken in one attack, then death is inevitable. Okay, hang on. I got a problem with that. If an amount of damage greater than the character's maximum hit points is taken in one attack, then death is inevitable. But up here, it said further damage is generally ignored. But any sincere attempt to kill him while unconscious would do not record negative hit points.
Right. Well, no, if you take all of your hit points in damage in one shot, that's just a killing blow. It's the way it reads to me.
Okay. It says greater than the character's maximum hit points. Oh,
yes.
okay.
So if you have 10 hit points.
There you go. Your maximum, not your current total.
Right.
Your maximum. Yeah. So if someone throws a grenade and you catch it and you try and throw it back, but you're too stupid and slow, it blows up in your hand and it does say 20 damage. Your maximum hit points is 17. You just die. Anything less than that, you've taken a major wound and you are dying, and probably want you have your wife open your pickle jars from now on. All right. So
we get no pickles anymore.
No pickles for you. Oh, stabbed in the back. I was
looking at that picture earlier. I was like, ow.
Well, I know why he was stabbed in the back. Look, he's wearing sandals with socks. All right. Anyway, first aid. To be effective, first aid must be delivered within 1 hour, in which case it grants 1 hit point of recovery. That's why we don't go into negatives. 0 is dying if it's a major wound, but 1 is you're alive. Good job. It may be attempted once, with subsequent attempts constituting a pushed roll. 2 people can work together to administer first aid, and if either of them succeed, first aid succeeds. An exception is allowed when treating a dying character, see dying below, wherein the best that can be achieved with first aid is to temporarily stabilize the patient. First aid is not going to get you up and about from a gunshot wound to your lung. It's going to stop you from actively dying. You're still not going to be getting up. Sorry. It's stretcher time for you. If you want to go somewhere, it's under somebody else's power. Medicine. Treatment of injuries using the medicine skill takes a minimum of 1 hour and can be delivered anytime after damage is taken. If it is not performed on the same day, the difficulty level increases, requiring hard success.
Ouch.
What's that?
I said ouch. I mean, it makes sense, but ouch.
Sure. A person, well, yeah, I imagine after a day, now you have to deal with almost certain infection if you didn't get any medical treatment.
Well, blood loss, infection,
all of that constitutes a hard success. I get it. A person treated successfully with medicine recovers 1d3 hit points in addition to any first aid they may have received earlier, except in the case of a dying character who must initially receive successful first aid, after which they must be fully stabilized using medicine.
That makes sense.
Dying.
In fact, there's a little anecdote. What I wrote into my game was like, if you're dying, you're going to die within like 1d6, whatever it is, 1d6 or 1d10 rounds. I forget. What that does, it changes it from rounds to up to an hour. So it's very similar to what this is here.
Yeah.
First aid is just to get you to the hospital.
Right. If you have a major wound, first aid is just going to keep you alive long enough to get you to hospital. Dying. God, a character is dying when their hit points are reduced to 0 and they have also sustained a major wound. Record the current hit points as 0 and check the dying box. That's a bad box. You don't want to check that box. The character immediately falls unconscious. The player must make a con roll at the end of the next round and every round thereafter.
Wow.
Yeah. Every round thereafter.
You are dying, sir.
Yeah, you are dying. If any of these con rolls fails, the character dies immediately. Only the first aid skill can be used to stabilize a dying character. Medicine cannot be used to stabilize a dying character. First, that's a reason why the ER is your first stop on the way in. The ER is there to keep you alive and stabilize you to get you to an operating room so medicine can be rolled. So if you want to, you can say to any ER doc, you're just a glorified combat medic. You dirty little thing. And he can't say anything about it. The first use of first aid to stabilize a dying character grants 1 temporary hit point, and it must be followed up with a successful medicine roll. A dying character that has been stabilized with first aid on that 1 hit point should make a con roll at the end of every hour. A failure indicates the patient's condition has deteriorated. They lose the temporary hit point and revert to the whole dying thing again. In need of first aid and requiring a con roll at the end of each round. The
question then becomes, do people die a lot in Call of Cthulhu?
Yes. The medicine skill should be used to treat a dying character after he or she has been stabilized with first aid. After the successful medicine roll, uncheck the dying box and give the character 1d3 hit points. A recovery roll, see major wound recovery, that's next, should be made at the end of each further week of care or convalescence. So, here's the deal. You get shot in the arm. Ow. Not a major wound. You get shot in the leg. Ow. Not a major wound. You get grazed in your abdomen. Ow. Not a major wound, but it brings you to 0. You fall unconscious. You do not have a major... No, I'm sorry. I don't think you immediately... No, at 0, you immediately fall unconscious. But you are not dying. You're just unconscious. You're not dying. You don't check the dying box, which means you are going to wake up. And without medical intervention, you will probably still survive. But if you take a shot to the arm, ow, not a major wound, and then a shot to the chest, super ow, a major wound, and you're at 0 health by that point, you immediately fall unconscious because you're at 0 health, and you check the dying box, and you are now actively dying. At the end of the next round, and every round after that, you must make a con roll. If you fail, you die. If you make it, well, you got to roll again next round, or you die. That is time for someone with first aid to come to you, successfully use first aid, give you 1 temporary hit point, uncheck the dying box. No, keep checking the dying box. Keep the dying box checked. But you now roll every hour, not every round. When you get to the hospital, if you are still stabilized, then the doctors make a medicine roll. If that succeeds, now you erase the dying checkbox, and you gain 1d3 hit points, and then a recovery roll every 7 days. Healing like a normal human takes a long time. But I have magic. Well, good for you.
You also have insanity. Good job.
Regular damage recovery. This is damage not caused by a major wound. Regular. Recovering from regular damage is relatively fast. If a character has not sustained a major wound, the character recovers 1 hit point per day. Now, I want to be very clear. The way this reads is if you have a major wound, you do not heal 1 per day. If you do not have a major wound, then you heal 1 hit point per day.
Okay.
But Heathen Dog, 4 of my damage is not from major wounds. Shouldn't I heal 4, those 4, 1 per day? No, because the major wound is a severe trauma on your body and your body is reeling. It is not healing effectively, and it's going to prioritize the major wound first. Well, theoretically, but your body's in trauma, so you're not healing as effectively as you could. Major wound recovery. Here we go. A con roll should be made at the end of each week of game time that a major wound box is ticked. If the con roll is failed, no recovery takes place that week. On a success, 1d3 hit points is recovered. On an extreme success, 2d3 hit points are recovered.
Why can't you just say 1d6?
I don't know. Add a bonus die if the character has complete rest in a comfortable environment. If you are at a fully stocked hospital, you add a bonus die. You add another bonus die if the character receives effective medical care. If you are at a hospital and you have a nurse and doctor who are constantly monitoring you, that's 2 bonus dice.
You still hate the bonus die?
Yeah. Add a penalty die if you are in a poor environment and are unable to make sufficient rest. If a doctor actually fixed you up, but then had to boot you out because he needed the bed space and you are now convalescing under a bridge, you have a penalty die. Whoops. Sorry. A major wound is healed, erase the major wound marker, when the character either rolls an extreme success for their recovery roll or when their current hit points have recovered to half or more than half of their full hit point total. Okay, so in a former example, I had 10 hit points. I took 4 from a regular knife attack, and then I took 6 from a gunshot wound. I went to 0. I fell unconscious. Successful first aid was done. I was stabilized. I'm at 1 hit point, temporary hit point. I get moved to a hospital. The hospital rolls a medicine roll, succeeds. I get 1d3 more. And a week later, I roll a constitution and I succeed. Regular success. I get another 1d3. So I'm at, let's just say I rolled 3 for the first medicine roll. So that means I have 4. Now I roll 2. So now I have a total of 6 hit points. That is half or more than half than my full total, which is 10. I now no longer have a major wound. So when you get to 50% or higher of your hit points, you uncheck the major wound box. And you can only get 1 major wound. It didn't, I made fun earlier about healing a little bit and then taking another major wound. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. If a roll is a fumble, if you roll a fumble on your convalescence constitution roll, a lasting injury, complication, or worse condition results. Rather than rolling for a random complication, the keeper is encouraged to pick something that relates to the nature of the injuries. For example,
got sciatica.
No. Let's say you are shot in the lung and you make the medicine roll, first aid roll, medicine roll, but when the week comes up and you make a con roll, you fumble your con roll. You roll a 2. You're like, oh crap. Well, now an infection has set in and they have to remove your lung. You can live without a lung. You can. It's not comfortable. I wouldn't recommend going to high altitudes, but you can do it. That is now a permanent injury that you have. Or you could lose an eye or whatever, a hand. Like for the grenade thing, hand and arm would be definitely appropriate as a major problem. So, combat damage flowchart. Damage from a wound. Less than half, regular damage. Heal 1 point with first aid and 1 point and 1d3 points with medicine. Also 1 point every day. Damage is equal to more than half. Major wound, you fall down, you might go unconscious. More than your max hit points, just dead. Sorry, buddy,
Goodbye.
you just died.
Make new character.
Make new character. Hit points fall to 0. Has a major wound been taken? No. Recover 1 hit point per day. First aid, heal 1 point. Medicine, heal 1 to 3 points. All of this can be done and added on. So you can heal relatively quickly from regular damage. But what if a major wound? Uh-oh, you are now dying. Someone did first aid? Yes. Temporary stabilize. Good job. Next hour, someone administers medicine? Yes. Healing begins. Uncheck dying box and gain 1d3 hit points. Make a major wound recovery roll at the end of each week.
I like that flowchart. Actually, I like the flowcharts that they put in this book.
Yeah, the flowcharts are pretty concise. So
well, they're actually helpful too.
Yes. Okay, now there's optional unconscious and death. We'll do that first. Call of Cthulhu is a horror game, and sometimes it may be more terrifying for an investigator to stay conscious. Yeah. If
Please let me fuck unconscious.
A character may be incapacitated rather than fully unconscious. Equally, final death does not have to occur instantaneously, and the light in the character's eyes might not go out until after a particularly dramatic moment or once their final words have been uttered, or until your soul has been eaten by some kind of monster that the cultists have summoned. You get to live long enough to feel your soul eaten. Good for you, buddy. That's an experience you can take to the afterlife.
No.
You don't want that. You don't want that. That's bad. Other forms of damage. Often the keeper will be forced to make a judgment for the amount of damage caused by some random event, such as dropping a TV, someone's foot, falling out of a building, depending on the height, stuff like that. Also, is this going to be a major wound? Falling from a single story? Maybe not. Falling from 4 stories? Probably yes.
I can't superhero land?
No, because guess what? You're not.
Superhero?
There you go. And then we have optional combat rules. I'm not going to go over them too much. I'm going to gloss over them because they are optional. Rolling for initiative. All right. You can get by with dex, right? You can get by with dex, but if you want more precise initiative order, you can also roll for initiative. You make a dex roll to determine initiative order. Extreme successes are first to act, followed by those with hard success, and those with regular success. Finally, those who failed the roll. And if multiple people got average, multiple people got hard, then you go by your total dex at that point to go first or second. This is other forms of damage. Okay, punch, kick, headbutt, examples. Deadly, terminal, splat, outright death. Being involved in a high-speed head-on collision, being hit by a train. That's just that. You're just going to die. Sorry, buddy. Asphyxiation and drowning. A con roll is made each round. Poisons, depending on the poison, a con roll is made every round, hour, day, whatever. And then the damage is taken. Knockout blows. This is a thing. If you inflict a major wound with hand-to-hand combat, you can knock the person out. This is like Andre the Giant fighting me. He hits me with his giant fist that is literally bigger than my head, and I take half or more of my damage, and so it's a major wound, which means I have to roll a con roll to remain conscious, knocked out. That's just the normal rule, just packaged in a way that you can see it clearly. Avoiding nothing happening when both sides fail their fighting skill roll. Sometimes during melee combat, both sides simultaneously fail. One way to view this is if both sides are being equally ineffective at inflicting harm. It's up to the keeper, right? But I would do this. If both sides are hand-to-hand fighting and neither side has brawling at greater than the base, which is 25, they're slap fighting. So you do the slap fighting. That's not very nice. Well, guess what? You should probably learn how to fight, Timmy. Okay? You're a slap fighting bitch. Just shut up. Armor revisited. Shotguns are a massive. This is if you want to have different nuanced armor. You don't need nuanced armor in this game, but if you want it, different kinds of weapons deal with armor differently. Fine. I don't think that's necessary, but if you want to, it's in here. Suppressing fire. Okay, there's rules for suppressing fire. Great. Optional hit locations. Great. You roll a d20. I don't like that, but whatever. Using telescopic sights. Okay. It changes your ranges. Sure. Bracing. Okay, everyone knows that. Movement during combat. This is moving while fighting. Now remember, any relative movement of 8 or more is a penalty die for the person shooting. Like if the target is moving at a movement rate of 8 or more relative to you, it's an automatic penalty die. So if the person's running away, then are they running away much faster than you? Are they running away in a diagonal? Are they serpentining you? I don't know, but we'll find out when you do that. Shooting a target through cover, whatever, point blank revisited. I don't think all this is necessary. This is all optional. I just want you to know that they're there. And there's the poisons. The poisons are just a list of poisons, what they do, and effects they have. And that's
is there some type of save for them? I mean, like, is there a process for this? Or is
there is a con. There's a con roll.
Okay. That's
poisons. Those who succeed in rolling equal to or above 1/5 of their con suffer a lesser effect.
okay.
But usually poisons, they just work. No one's immune to iocane powder. Shut up. All right. Poisons just work. If you're really lucky, as in roll 1/5 of your con attribute, get an extreme success, then they're at half effectiveness, half potency, half damage. But anything less than that, they just work. They just work. And that is it. Now, here, there's a whole chapter on chases, foot chases, car chases, boat chases, plane chases, train chases.
I said he should do it.
And I'm not going to, because it's ridiculous to make a whole day just about chasing somebody else. There's rules for it. Gaining, losing, whatever. Don't care. Okay. Get the book, read it if you want to know. But
Up at the top of the screen, up at the top of the screen there where it says deep dives and read throughs, I'm going to take a red marker. I'm going to cross through read through and I'll put partial read through.
Stop it.
There's two, and one of them I'm going to answer right away. I'm going to do that one second because I have the accoutrements here. So Walter MC is what the F is a D3? Well, first of all, you can have an actual D3, which is a 6-sided die that goes 1, 2,
1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
3, and then just doubles it up again. Or you can roll a D6, and I know people do it different ways. The way I do it is high, low, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is just another 1, 2, 3. That's how you roll a D3.
The way I do it is 1 and 2 is 1, 2 and 3 is 2. I'm sorry, 1, 2, yeah, 1 and 2.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, 2. 1 and 2 is 1, 3 and 4 is 2, 5 and 6 is 3.
Yep.
Sorry.
Those are the two main ways of doing it. So
that's the way I do.
Yeah.
But it's all doable.
And then said this at the beginning, but Shogoth will just be annoyed by gunfire before he swallows the player. Not sure if Shogoth can swallow something though.
That's fair, but having a lot of hit points is great, but a firearm can eventually whittle you down, especially if you have to close range all the time. If someone's striking with a rifle, he can be up to 400 yards, 220 yards away without taking penalty. How fast is the enemy? Is the enemy going to be able to close that distance to get in a melee range before they're dead? Maybe not. Rifles hurt. They hurt a lot. Even if you have a lot of hit points, you can be whittled down to nothing by the time you get to the person firing a rifle, especially if they're from a tower or a top of a wall or something. Then you're just even closer and they're just shooting down onto your face. So do not take guns lightly in this game. Even if you have 50 hit points, you're a monster with 50 hit points and like, oh, I'm the greatest, I'm strong. You can still die. You can still die. Rifles are no joke. I'm not even talking about a minigun. That's crazy.
Well, apparently you can't hit with a minigun in this game. So what does it matter?
Not after the first 3 or 4 things, but it's 4,000 rounds. That's a lot of rounds. I mean, you're going to get lucky and get a couple of extreme successes at the end. You're going to get lucky.
Do I get to roll 1,000 dice?
No, it's you take your machine gun skill. Let's say it's 40 divided by 10. It's 4. That means you're going to have 1,000 volleys of 4.
Okay.
Now, do I want to be around for all that rolling? No, man. I'm going to make up some stuff.
Well, if it doesn't equal murder of the person, I'm rolling my dice.
Fair enough. But no, the person's probably going to die. But anyway,
All
so
right,
that is it.
that is it. Yep.
That is it for combat and wounds and healing. So next time we are going to get into some real Lovecraftian meat. We are going for magic and grimoires and tomes. If you want to go insane as efficiently as possible, read yourself some grimoires and tomes. That's the way to do it. But I'll explain it all next week. So come back next time.
Insane in the membrane.
Insane in the brain.